in terms of this transition?
A couple things, Anderson. I agree with Van and I think everybody on this panel that so far what we have seen in the transition should give us hope. But here's the problem with that. Donald Trump's speech absolutely had the perfect tone. It had the right words. But 5 minutes of nice words is not going to make up for 15 months of what all of these communities that are now on the streets, and many more who haven't said anything but are incredibly afraid of what's going to happen under a Trump administration. It's going to take a lot more than just those 5 minutes of nice words to calm them. There are stories, not just of the folks who are attacking Muslims. There are stories of Trump supporters going up to women and grabbing them and calling them the C word. There are stories of Trump supporters yelling at Latinos, "Spick, you wetback, go back to Mexico." There are stories of schools whose principals have had to put out a letter to their students telling them, if you are LGBT, if you are Muslim, if you're Latino, if you are undocumented or have parents that are undocumented, you will feel safe in this school. You will not be bullied. You will be protected. To me, that signals that we are entering into an era that we have not seen in a generation. And I agree with Van, it is dangerous. And I think that Donald Trump has a tremendous opportunity, a challenge, but a tremendous opportunity to address this, but address it in a way that is very particular to all of the communities of color who really are reeling and are hurt about this.
But let's, look, there are demonstrations on the streets, but this was a valid election.
Absolutely.
2 people ran. Donald Trump won.
That's right.
We've had elections in the past. We haven't necessarily seen demonstrations like this. So, there is some frustration I'm hearing from Trump supporters who say, well, look, this was a legitimate election, and why are people now protesting in the streets?
I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. First of all, yes, legitimate election. Donald Trump won the electoral vote, but guess what? Hillary Clinton is 2 million votes ahead of him in the popular vote.
But you know what? So what?
I understand that, but that actually adds to the rawness of what this election result is.
But there's always half the country that feels raw after an election. We don't necessarily see that half demonstrating in the streets.
But one last point, though. I completely agree. And to a certain extent, all of the Hillary Clinton supporters are going to have to understand that is the path, and that they at some point have got to give Donald Trump a chance. Follow her lead, follow President Obama's lead. But also he said he wants to be the president for everybody. And if he really wants to do that, then he has to understand that the responsibility on his shoulders is that he also has to be the president for all of those communities who he has offended.
I don't think he needs to worry about these protesters at this point. Frankly, when they're going outside Trump Tower and saying impeach Donald Trump when he's not even sworn in, and when they're blocking Highway 101 in Los Angeles and writing all kinds of foul language things on police cars and also vandalizing other property, I think that they just don't understand the way a republic and a democracy works. It wasn't a legitimate election. There were no irregularities. His tone at 4 a.m. Wednesday morning was magnificent. And I was in the room, and I can tell you it was an inspirational American moment. Hillary Clinton was very good yesterday. Barack Obama, absolutely, today. And what you've seen is great American leadership, and I think that sends a signal that will be heard throughout the land, and it will overcome the voices of protesters. I think in the days ahead, as he picks his cabinet, as he picks more and more of his leadership, and they're going to be of the type of people that Mike Pence is, and Kellyanne Conway, and people who are quality, who know how politics works, knows human relationships. I think these people are going to calm down and get on board, and I mean these people in a sense of the protesters.
Van, do you believe that as people start to see, okay, well, some of these names in the cabinet are names we've heard before and have been in government before, and this isn't a complete revolution, that will things sort of calm down and normalize?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, those people in the streets are not Hillary Clinton supporters necessarily. I think it's very important we understand the dynamics here. Those people in the streets are generally people who didn't feel that the Democrats or Hillary Clinton or really anybody was speaking for them, and so you've got a challenge now. You've got those young rebels out there, and we've got to listen to them and hear. I think that's an important thing. With respect to, listen, Donald Trump is doing well right now. That's important for people to get. There is a trust deficit That is true. Partly the reason the trust deficit comes is that there were moments in the campaign he did well, and then he would change, and then he would do well again. And so people don't know yet, are we on solid ground?
Right.
So I think it's important for his supporters to understand there is a trust deficit. He's doing well right now, but these young people, Hillary Clinton go out there right now and tell them to sit down, they walk right past.
But that's all the more encouraging, though, because these young people, when they find out Donald Trump ran against the establishment, he ran against bringing ethics back to Washington,
I think they know
for
Trump
bringing
is.
jobs back. A lot of these people are millennials, and I'm here to tell you as a millennial myself, my millennial friends, they care about jobs, they care about student loan debt. They don't have that right now. And when Donald Trump brings jobs back to this country, these young protesters are going to be very happy.
We got to take a quick break. We'll have Congressman right when we come back. Also tonight, after everything Donald Trump has said about women, which were much discussed, obviously, during the election, with the prospect of having the first woman president in American history, why didn't more women vote for Hillary Clinton? Certainly a question a lot of Democrats and Democratic women are asking. It's a question that's about as complex and nuanced as they get. We'll look at that ahead as well.